Hello, all. Good afternoon. Welcome to this one more interesting session on beneficial aspects of Meipadam. So, today we are exploring a very unique topic which says neurological resilience through asymmetry of Meipadam. So, let's first explore asymmetry of Meipadam. Hi, Rupa. Good afternoon.
Hey Trisha, you doing well? Hope everybody is doing okay and India is not burning too much, managing okay with
Yeah,
this.
yes, yes.
Uh,
So, okay. So, why do we, let's first explore, Rupa, why do we have asymmetrical movements, a very unique asymmetrical movements in Meipadam? Why do we have them?
so as far as I understand it, there are the brain fires differently with different movements. So there are fixed areas for when your arm moves and when your leg moves. There are fixed areas on the brain. So the brain, as everybody knows, has two hemispheres, so two halves, the left and the right, and it is split in the middle. So the way it is connected is, just for a brief scientific idea, is that when the right hand moves, the left part of your brain fires. When the left hand moves, the right part of your brain fires. So that's how the brain is designed. So the connection crosses in the brain. That said, when we have symmetrical movements, so when I say symmetrical movements, it is the same side of the body moving, the same side of arm and leg moving. um, it fires just one side of the brain. And when we do asymmetrical, so you do the left arm and the right leg, so you're activating both hemispheres, both halves of the brain. So you're getting that cross connection. So it is very, very important that there is cross connective activity and communication between the two halves of the brain. That's what gives the wholesome life perspective that we have. So generally all of us are dominant on one side, though we are either left-handed or right-handed. So there is more usage and firing of one side of the brain and less on the other. So somewhere, and it is the brain, more than anything else in the body, follows a very simple rule: you don't use it, you lose it. As simple as that. So if we are not using parts of the brain, or not doing covering the entire range of movement or range of activity that the brain can do, you start pruning those connections, you start losing those connections. So for example, they say when the baby is born, it has billions and billions of connection, and as the baby goes into a toddler state and then a kid state and starts growing into teenage, it is losing connections and millions at a time, because it isn't doing everything that the child is most curious, most adventurous and inquisitive, and as you grow older you're losing the curiosity. So the brain doesn't need to be bothered and be curious and look at a variety of things. It looks at only one thing. So once it starts going to school, it focuses only on studies and maybe two other activities, if at all. That the curiosity is gone. So what I'm saying is, it's a unfortunate reality of the way our life is structured, but we can sort of enhance it by bringing in asymmetry in our life consciously. So my padam is
Mm.
one brilliant way to bring asymmetry, where we are using opposite limbs. So that is getting, so the, like we have told in the past as well, Trisha, that my padam is not just about the physicality. We are also working at deeper levels. We are working at our mental level, at our spiritual level, being meditative. So it is taking care of the whole person. And here the asymmetry, like I said, is focusing on uh, using the full potential of the brain as much as possible. So we do both. We do symmetry and we do asymmetry, but that is at the core of introducing asymmetry in life. So the other way is, just for people who are interested to introduce asymmetry in life, is by doing things with the other arm, which is not the dominant arm. So stirring with the left if you're a right-handed person, walking backwards, all of this is asymmetrical movements. um, so yeah, that's where I think is a prime unusual benefit of my padam, which a lot of the other activities or exercise forms don't offer, the asymmetry aspect or the holistic aspect. What do you think, Tisha?
Right, right. And also, so I'm going to catch on one point that you just mentioned in a minute. But those of you who are wondering, why Meipadam in the first place has these kind of asymmetrical movements is also because see Meipadam was considered as, I mean, it was practiced as uh, like a fitness regime, or it was used as a tool that helped people to prepare for wars, okay, to prepare for battles, to prepare for fighting. And that's a very challenging situation. You can't predict anything, you never know what's coming from where. So you had to have that skill of being able to, uh, respond from any side, whether that's the dominant side or the not dominant side of your body, and also to be able to move in ways which were not predictable for the opponent, to fool the opponent, of course. So that's why Meipadam has this weird movement. Some of them look asymmetrical, and that's basically the reason to train your senses, to train your brain to respond and to get used to movements which are not predictable. Right. So, do you? What do you think, Rupa?
Yeah, absolutely. That beautifully pointed out. At the core, that's where you are to be, be managing attacks from any direction and any side. People are not going to dominate, just attack on your dominant and stronger side. So we always have the one side stronger or one leg stronger than the other. So my pardon is then there about balancing and strengthening each of the sides equally for you to be handle the weapons or whatever you do, or even if it is arm to arm wrestling, equal strength on both sides so that you're not caught out on a wrong foot. So yeah, absolutely well pointed out. Yeah.
Hmm. Also, just now you had mentioned, that us losing those neural connections, right? We losing neural connections by millions as we grow up. So, do you think the way we are living today, the way our lifestyle is, we are probably losing more neural connections than in the times before, and that too faster than before?
Absolutely, absolutely. No doubts on that because we have become more and more reductionist, more and more specialized. We are not looking at the whole picture most of the time. So you are absolutely right. Yes, we are losing things at a faster pace. The elderly now are far more weaker than the elderly. If you take 50 years ago, 60 years ago, the grandmas and the granddads and the great granddads and great grandmas were much stronger and had way more energy and life left in them than the current 50, 60 year olds. They don't have to even go up to 80, 90. So yeah, like you rightly say, the lifestyle is the lifestyle of convenience and comfort is actually doing us more harm than we realize. So the pleasure seeking humans that we are, we jump at the idea of doing something very comfortably and conveniently, but we don't look at the loss that brings about. So things like that, the day-to-day activities. One simple alteration that I did in my life was uh, getting a floor seating so that I don't have to sit on the sofa all the time, because you lose that ability to go down and get up. You lose the strength, so it becomes, so keeping it functional. So as simple as that, you have to sort of be a bit more conscious, and hopefully, the points that we bring up here, people start thinking on how the comfort and convenience is affecting them and if they can do better. So it is sort of going back to the old ways. It will be good in this element to regress to our old ways, rather
Yeah.
more comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's a very important point, and everyone who's watching this needs to underline that how the convenience-seeking lifestyle is making us less efficient mentally and physically. So it's like, in a way, that 1 hour of, let's say, Meipadam or Karlakattai practice that you put yourself through, or actually even martial arts, because we both love martial arts. So
Yes.
but at least that 1 hour of Meipadam or Karlakattai practice that you put yourself through, uh, at least for that 1 hour, you're forcing yourself to come out of that convenience seeking behavior, both on physical level and the mental level, and
Yeah.
that can really make some difference, and in fact, if you are consistent with this kind of discipline or habit, then over a period of time it can make a huge difference, you know.
Definitely.
So that's one thing. And since we are giving out this message, I would really like to tell the viewers that try in your daily life with small things to um, go back to the wise inconveniences. Like, for example, even for my meals, I don't have a dining table and a chair. But nowadays, like, even a regular household has dining table and chair for eating meals. We never had this, right? This was never a part of our
No,
lifestyle. So
not
try to sit on the floor for eating, even while cooking, instead of, like, especially for women, instead of standing for long times, try to sit and maybe try to do as much work as possible in that sitting squatting position, and then just to cook on your gas you get up and stand. So these are the small changes you can make. We have already done a huge harm to ourselves by adopting western toilets.
no,
That's
yes.
like
Oh, don't get
that
me started on
was
that. Oh,
that was like that destroyed our digestive systems. And it is one of the biggest reasons why we have digestive health problems, because we are not squatting like before.
yep, yep.
So I mean, if you can afford to make, if you have the means to make the change, go back to getting the Indian toilet. But for that, you will have to adopt now that kind of lifestyle also. Because otherwise, if you have Indian toilet and you just can't even do half a squat, then you are in trouble.
What's the point? Yes. Then they'll need a chair to put on top of the Indian toilet.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So, in terms of this neurological resilience through asymmetry of Meipadam, let's focus on, because I would like to bring our attention to this topic in terms of Meividya also, our course Meividya, which we are introducing, how this can benefit teenage children.
So neuroresilience, like you already pointed out, is sort of it's where the asymmetry, the firing of both sides of the brains, is sort of reminding the brain that there are other things that you can do. It's sort of pushing the brain out of its comfort zone. So it's the regular practice that you pointed out, which will make all the difference. And and the sooner you start, the better, because already in the teen years they have lost a lot of the connections, but they are better off than you're a full grown adult in their 20s or 30s. So to remind them early on and keep them at it and get the cross firing going and giving them enough asymmetry in life to maintain that, rather than you lose something and to build up from the loss scenario. The brain is beautifully plastic. They call it neuroplasticity, which is basically, even if you lose connections, you can build them back. So even people who have they've done proper studies where the elderly, after a long time of inactivity or having a decline in their cognition and memory, have then went on to do activities and exercises focused on that and improving themselves. So even at much later in life, or even for the elderly, that has worked. So in teens it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be the most simplest and the quickest way to maintain it. You have not lost it yet. So if they can jump on the bandwagon sooner than later, it will serve them for a lifetime. So physical,
Yeah,
mental, spiritual, all health is sort of catered, and you have a tool in your basket to help you live your life more effectively and fulfillingly. So
yeah,
yeah, if parents can just give it a try, I would suggest parents try them themselves. We have a lot of online videos as well in our Meipadam online school for them to look at and get an idea, because it's an alien concept for a lot of parents, I'm sure. But ask them to try it, get a feel for it, and just jump in and experience it for yourself. But that
mm,
resilience is very key, and the sooner you start with it, the more quicker you get there.
mm,
So and it's a cumulative effect. It builds up. It's not that you have built it up and then you can let go. It doesn't work like that. Like I said, if you don't use it, you will lose it, no matter what the time. So the body deconditions. So the sooner you
mm,
start and keep maintaining it, you're on the right path early on.
mm. And also, see, considering that the major part of teenagers' life is their studies, and even with the way we study, it has become even that part of life for kids nowadays has become very in a way very convenient in the sense with all the AI and social media. So the it's like the kind of brain work we used to do in old times, not using the recordings and
Calculators.
doing a lot of using tables. For example, we used to like remember tables like for at least till 30. We
Yeah,
used to remember the
yeah.
table. So yeah, so we were used to doing a lot of this kind of. We used to remember phone numbers. Remember
Oh,
at
yes.
least easily I remember at least 12 to 15 phone numbers. I'm
Absolutely.
sure I remembered more, but I would say 10 to 12 phone numbers we just remembered, right? Mobile
True.
numbers.
True.
So these kind of things, they are now out of the daily life, even for kids, considering how their way of study has become. It really makes sense, and it's like challenging yourself in a different way to get into this inconvenience for an hour in terms of practice of Meipadam and Karlakattai, which I think it also adds something very different, very unique, and very slightly going away from what they are used to on a daily basis. The convenience in terms of their study and their brain work, and even, of course, physical work. I remember we used to, I mean, at least I remember I used to walk quite a distance to go to school or to go to college, and
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah.
yes,
It's been steadily deteriorating and deteriorating in exponential levels with time. Like you rightly said, pointed out
yes,
all those amazing things. I think it reveals our age and how old we are.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
it's just that things were still better then, and they have
yes,
gone exponentially bad with too much brain
yeah,
activity, because there's just studying. That's the main focus. Everything is around how much marks you get in school. That's the only key focus in any teenager's life, unfortunately. And even
right,
that, like you say, even that, the brain activity is not as it was when we were growing up or when we were studying. It now, like you said, they have the AI and everything, so the out of box thinking, the reasoning, the analytical thinking, all of that is on the way. There was less of
right,
it when we were growing up because our system of education is such, but now it has gone bad to worse. So there is an
yes,
absolute imbalance of too much of activity in the brain necessarily, and none or hardly any physically, because people have no time to
right.
come out and play. You see no kids playing out in the evenings anymore.
No, 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 not at all.
Why people
And one
used to
more
look
thing,
forward to best time of the day that was, and now it is people are either doing video games or in
yeah,
some tuition somewhere. So there is that
yeah,
huge lack of physicality, which at this point will not show any impact because you're young,
yeah,
the body is
yeah,
resilient. It takes a lot of abuse until in
yeah,
your 20s the body can manage and deal with a lot of abuse. It is resilience used for a negative, unfortunately, purpose, and it is as they grow older into early 30s and stuff is when it starts showing the
right,
strain, the body starts giving way.
right.
So if you haven't thought about any of this now and think, oh, I got away in my teens and in my 20s with no problem, I will not any have any problem, is the thinking that they would develop, anybody would develop. That's just human bias, right? But getting them again early on and balancing that life and giving them another perspective beyond marks and scores is going to benefit them for a lifetime.
Right, right. And also, there is this lack of getting bored in the life of the kids nowadays. Yeah,
Yeah,
because they have so much of distraction,
overstimulated.
right? They have social media. So they haven't experienced what it means to sit and get bored, because creativity and out of box thinking comes out of that. Remember when in big summer vacations, we never had social media. We didn't even have like TVs. I
Correct.
remember we didn't have
Yes,
cable
we did.
TV channels, so good things on the TV used to come for a certain
Just a couple of
timing
hours in the evening.
during the
Yeah.
day. Yeah, exactly. So then throughout the day, you are here stuck with doing nothing. You're getting bored, and that's when you come up with all these small games, or
Yes,
just doing like
yes. You
just making
indulge into
something
a
with
lot
your
of life.
hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, making something with your hands, or cooking something, or just so they are not used to getting bored. So now I know that, and actually getting bored is one of the it's very important component of creativity and out of box thinking.
Mm.
Now I know people will say that nowadays kids have different mental challenges which we didn't have, which I understand. Social media has posed like a really different level of different category of unforeseen kind of mental health challenges for kids today. But even that can be overcome if you have neurological resilience. What do you think about that,
Definitely,
Rupa?
absolutely well pointed out indeed. Because kids these days don't have as much exposure because they are sort of streamlined and sort of put into narrow things to do in life. The mental resilience is also not built because they are generally prevented from failing. The parents are careful and mollycoddle. The school is very careful on giving comments and stuff. So there is such a lot of mollycoddling these days as a culture that we have become much more. We have swung to the other extreme. Initially, there was
Mm,
too much criticisms when we were growing up, nothing very constructive, and now there is none. So the idea of kids failing and being resilient from that is so much lesser these days. So they don't have the
mm,
physical or the mental resilience
mm,
to
mm.
deal with anything that is sort of a bit negative or a bit against your opinion or belief system or understanding of life. Even the slightest of thing, the fragile ego and the self-esteem brings them down, and then they shut down and they don't know how to live life. So a very
Yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah,
triggers can be very insignificant and trivial. If you think about
yeah.
it, a lot of trivial insignificant triggers have caused people to lose their lives over it.
Yes, yes.
It's
Remember
very sad.
recently I shared that video with you with a teenage girl, and she was
Oh God,
crying her heart out. My God. So
yes.
this kind of trolling on social media or the kind of criticism and it just makes them collapse mentally. So that's not a healthy thing. If at this age you're going to collapse as you grow up, the challenges become better. Sorry, the challenges become like
Was
bigger and worse. Yeah. So yeah, it's
yeah, and my and for and I'm really impressed or pleased with our course of Meividya, where there is focus on emotional resilience, emotional build up, to even the awareness of what I could do, giving them the possibilities and sort of the awareness and knowledge gives a lot of potential for them to come out and deal with life better. So we have tried and focus on the physical health, the mental health, the emotional
yeah,
health, and it's a package that we have
yeah,
designed hopefully to bring things together for
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so everyone watching, please feel free to check out the details about the upcoming Meividya course, which is a very unique and exclusive course. We are starting for teenage girls from the age 13 to 17. All the details regarding schedule and the syllabus is there. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to clarify them for you. Any last words on the topic, Rupa?
I think we have covered all the important ones, I guess. Yeah, it's just for people to now jump in and try my pardon for themselves and then make a decision. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so thank you for joining us, and we'll soon see you with one more interesting topic next week. And thanks, Rupa. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Trisha. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.